The Rays have new owners, and a $1.7 billion era begins this week.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rays podcast. Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and we are Kevin and Ulysses.
And those are Kevin's dogs in the background, and we have been lifelong Rays fans and podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
Later on in the program, we discuss changes to the front office and ownership and beyond. In a few minutes, we'll discuss the most important thing to Rays fans under the new ownership group. But to start, the Rays are officially changing hands for the low price of $1.7 billion.
And we're going to talk about all of that thanks to Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Rays ownership will officially change hands this week, Kevin. A $1.7 billion reset for the franchise. Remember those G.I. Joes or action figures you had when you were a kid? I mean, this is for 90s kids and maybe, before then. But there was like a reset button usually, and it was so difficult to hit. You had to like get a paper clip or something like a fork to hit the reset button. Well, this reset button was not difficult to hit. It was pretty big with a $1.7 billion tag.
It was indeed, and I guess this is the gift. If the Rays can't make the playoffs, how about an ownership change with all the flack that Stu Sternberg has gotten and received over the last couple of years, even despite all the franchise's playoff appearances and pennants and franchise turnaround and rebrand and so forth. But he is, for the most part, been persona non grata among the Rays fan base. So instead of a announcement of, hey, we're finishing over 500 and we've squeaked into the wild card, no, it is there will be a new person at the top by the name of Patrick Zalupski, and MLB owners seem to approve of Mr. Zalupski and his team because they unanimously approved the sale. And that sale price, like we mentioned, I joked, the low price of $1.7 billion, pretty pricey. You got to get FTC approval. You got to get money transfer pending. And I know there were probably some tears and some sadness from Stu Sternberg and his family and maybe even some of the employees who liked having him as a boss. But let's not feel too bad for the guy because let's just say the return on the investment from purchasing the team back in 2004, 2005 when he paid $200 million, I would say that was a good investment, transforming that into roughly $1.7 billion.
ROI, anyone? Yeah. I mean, Stu, just first claps. Tremendous ROI, babes.
Hey, he's a hedge fund guy for a reason. You don't get rich. You don't become a professional sports team owner by making lousy decisions. And clearly he made a lousy decision. He did not make a lousy decision. He made a really good decision. The only thing we probably wished is that he ran the team more like a fan versus a profit-generating engine.
But that's the thing, though. Isn't that the thing? He said, no. You guys can do all of that. I'm going to run this so the ROI is going to be toppity top when I eventually sell this. He wanted it to be even bigger with a stadium, with real estate attached to it. Like, he held on as much as he could, and then it just didn't work out. But you know what? 1.7 out of buying it for $200 million. Yeah, you can do the price adjusted with the inflation, but tremendous ROI. So, yeah, golf claps for Stu. That's awesome. And now comes in Zalupski and company.
Yeah. It's not just him. There's a bunch of people involved. He's going to be the figurehead, so to speak, but there's the Dex imaging guy. There's, the minor league baseball owner guy. So he definitely has his core, his group, his team around him that will be making many of the decisions with him and for him.
Yeah, and so that group, which of course Zalupski's the head, will take over after the September 28th season finale. So literally 4 days from this episode dropping. So incredibly exciting time to be a Rays fan because there are so many questions, but most importantly to all Rays fans is where and when this stadium saga will end.
Well, guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet's Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It is a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, giving you confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. You can connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head over to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you.
There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, and you got to use Game Time. Why? Well, because it's actually fun to get tickets using Game Time. You know why? Because there's no surprise fees. That's my favorite part about Game Time. You don't just get stuck with all these fees at the end of the line that you didn't think that you would get, okay? It's the price you see. That's the price that you pay. So take advantage and download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you for joining us at Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, at your team every day. The stadium decision will be the first major test for Zalupski's group, and that is a very, very touchy subject for all Rays fans, and not only a touchy subject, but it's one test that unfortunately has so much pressure to Zalupski, and you're going to alienate fans regardless of the decision. Because if the decision is to build in Tampa, St. Pete folks are going to be upset.
Yes.
If you build it in St. Pete, Tampa folks are going to be upset. And if the worst comes to happen, then you have Tampa and St. Pete be really upset with you. So it's their first test, but it might be the biggest test that they'll ever have, Kevin. Like it's where you're going to be calling home for at least the next 30 years. By the time that first stadium lease ends, Kevin, we're going to be a couple of years from retirement legally. That's how long that is, people. And we will still be doing this podcast with dentures and with canes, and so happy to do it, Kev.
In gray hair,
yeah,
and poor vision, cataracts maybe. That is the thing. And I will be curious about going forward in the long run. Can Zalupski do 2 things that Sternberg's team was unable to do? Get a new stadium deal finalized. Well, if you want to look at it that way, I mean, they could actually follow through on a new stadium deal, as maybe I should put it. And figuring out attendance. Can we not be last, second to last, third to last, fourth to last, fifth to last in attendance? Can we get more sellouts with facility that holds 25 to 28 to 30,000? And
wait, let's play a game right now.
Yes.
You have a blank contract right here, and they tell you, you know what? If you sign this paper right here, the Rays will never reach the top 19 stadium in attendance, but it will never drop lower than 25th. It'll never
sign that immediately.
I signed that with blood. Yeah. I do the knife and I sign it with my blood.
Yeah, you do the mafia oath.
Yeah, are you kidding me? We've been 28, 29, or 30 almost every bleeping year. If we're 24th, yes, give it to me. Because that's a pretty good sign that something really good happened,
Right.
either on the field, but most likely on the stadium and around the stadium.
Yeah. And that's like, it's Zalupski and his crew, they have a lot of work to do. It's not just taking over a well-oiled machine. I mean, maybe with the front office generally and how they go about scouting and developing players, but not only is it bringing a winner back on the field after 2 consecutive losing seasons and trying to make the playoffs again, but it's the overarching theme of getting a new stadium built in the Tampa Bay area. And to start, you're going to have to rebuild relationships. You're going to have to rebuild relationships that have been damaged and, shall I say, destroyed by the Sternberg crew.
You have to think that work has already begun.
Yes, I would think that the machinations have been in place with the help of Manfred and Zalupski throwing, yeah, I feel like behind the scenes there's been a lot of work in that end, but I would assume and presume that there's more work to do. And then you have to finalize that location, be it in Hillsborough County or Pinellas County. What it looks like is it's going to be Hillsborough County. We've talked about the Ybor Harbor area. We talked about Hillsborough Community College area near Steinbrenner Field. There's still some love for near the fairgrounds and across from Hard Rock Stadium. There might be some other areas that have not been reported about publicly.
What's your top 3? What's your podium of locations for Tampa? If hopefully it is in Hillsborough County.
Yeah.
If they call is Zalupski. Can I talk to Mr. Kevin Weiss? Who is this? It's Patrick Zalupski, and I'd like to get your podium for the 3 top sites that you want me to build this stadium in Hillsborough County. What do you want, Kevin?
Well, I think the coolest option would be Ybor, but for me, selfishly speaking, I would say fairgrounds area just because of the access off the interstate and on the land that's available. But yeah, I guess I would do 1 fairgrounds, 2 Ybor, and 3 Hillsborough College area. But honestly, I would even equalize all 3. Hey, it's still on the Tampa side, still in Hillsborough County. That's a win for me as compared to St. Pete or Pinellas County. But in order for either of those options to come into play, I think that there's going to have to be a extension on the Trop lease because
100%.
There's no way we're creeping up on 2026 and there hasn't been movement. No. So unless you already spent $1.7 billion for a franchise, and a stadium is going to be a lot of money as well, maybe near $1 billion. And if you want to expedite that, that's just going to cost more and more money if you're going to have 24-hour construction crews and expedite all the building and permitting and so forth.
I will say, though, yes, you're right about all of that. But if we want to do silver linings about this, is the Rays already will have an extension for 1 year because of the hurricane, right? So we knew that the lease was going to end after the 2027 season. Now we know that it actually will end after the 2028 season. So really, you have 26, 27, and 28 to get something done. Could you build a stadium in 3 years? I think that is incredibly difficult.
Yeah. It's been done before.
It's been done before, but it's extremely difficult. So could you do it in 4? That's probably usually what you were thinking, 4 years. So you would be able to see 1 more year after the extension. So 1 year extension maybe, but it's just the permitting, the politicking that we're going to have to hear. But most of all, the whole thing it's been about money. Not only about money of like, what am I going to earn if I'm Stu Sternberg in the St. Pete deal with real estate and all that, but where are we going to get the money from? Like the city of Tampa, where are they getting the money from?
Right.
The Hillsborough County, where are they going to get the money from? That's always been the issue with Hillsborough County.
Well, that's probably where Zalupski's going to tie into his connections with the state government and one governor that's up there. Maybe, the state can throw in some money. I'll say this. I think the stadium would be a lot easier to build in 3 years if you just copy and paste the agreement that you had with St. Petersburg and Pinellas County and the location and everything that was laid out there. But I think that is pretty much thrown aside for now, and this ownership group wants to look at the Tampa side. And who knows if St. Pete and Pinellas County want to play ball anymore based on them being jilted last year and previous before that. So,
and every article, Kev, every article that we see about this new ownership has always mentioned the stadium, and they always make sure to add they'll be looking at Hillsborough County first. It's right. Like a must propositional clause that they have to say after they talk about the stadium. So, yeah.
Maybe we see the Rays playing at Steinbrenner Field again as the stadium gets built.
You know what?
We've seen it kind of work already.
You know what? I think they're not going to do that. I really think that they would rather extend it at the Trop, just because, I mean, you've put in so much money right now with this renovation that they might not dislike the fact of like, well, let's just use this new renovated Trop, for maybe a couple more years so we can get what we really want in Tampa and how we can really get the funds from Tampa. Yes. And when are the governor elections even, man?
You're asking the wrong person, because I should pay more attention to that. But
I know, me too. I feel bad about asking that, but it's too much.
Yeah, there's too much going on in the politics realm. But hey, the Rays are going to have to work with anybody and everybody, and they can't do what the Sternberg regime did, if you will. Now, it's not just the ballpark, but big changes are coming to the front office and other parts of the organization as well.
The NFL season is almost here. Kevin is psyched, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. That's $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Sounds like a pretty good deal, people. And what makes FanDuel amazing is that it's quick, easy, and it's the best way to add a little green Skittles on your Sunday that you don't know where to put them. Well, you can use FanDuel for that. You got same game parlays, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast and making us your very first listen every day. We appreciate it. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Ulises, we know about the status of Matt Silverman and Brian Auld and their situation with this new regime. What will also be interesting is the trickle-down effect and what's going to happen long-term with Erik Neander and Kevin Cash. I would imagine for the time being, those guys will stick around. There's rumblings that business operations will be changed and switched around to some extent. And what I'm also curious about is, I guess, some of the rank and file staff, the assistant to the traveling secretary, the clubhouse manager. When you have a major transformation like this, I'm sure these guys are on the lookout because you just don't know. You don't know what the organizational style will be of this new group coming in. They can say all the right things. They can promise all the right things, but you might realize that the grass is greener with another organization, especially if we know how often Rays employees and front office staff and coaches are consistently getting poached from other organizations. So there could be quite a domino effect of some of these guys, relatively known, if you're a rabid Rays fan of, okay, I know that name, I know this name, I know that other name. Yeah. You might see some exodus here with this new team coming in, just because they feel like I don't know what the future holds with this organization. I might have, a friend or a buddy or somebody I know and trust closely with, say, the Brewers or the Cardinals or the Yankees, and I can just, go over there and have a good career elsewhere.
Maybe Brad Pitt wants you to say, you know what, pack your bags from Ohio and let's go to California together. That can very easily happen, people. And I mean, this is a job like any other one. So if the CEO is changed from your major corporation, if you're an usher, is that going to be a big deal that it's not Stu, it's now Zalupski? No. But if you're in the front office, you might be like a little hesitant of like, okay, yeah, well, what's the future here? Am I going to get booted out? I'm sure it's going to be incredibly friendly. I don't think it would be smart at all for Zalupski and company to come in with like this attitude of like, we're going to change everything. Like, I don't think that's a smart decision. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I would hope not. I don't think so. The tea leaves, the little quotes we've received are that they are trying to keep some type of not tradition, but they want to keep some like stability throughout this change. And we know that Kevin Cash is under contract. We don't know for how long, but it was for several years when he signed that extension, just like Neander did. No terms were given, and by that I mean money nor years. That has never been public, which is, I think, extremely odd in this type of industry. Good for them for keeping it hush-hush. Nobody needs to know how much money you make, but it is weird in the world of sports to have a manager and a GM, a president of baseball operations, to not have their terms of their contract out public. But I think those are two guys that are going to definitely stay. It's just a matter of the other functions in the front office, and we'll just have to wait and see. Like, it depends on how much change they want and how much stability they want to keep.
Yeah. And the other thing, which we didn't really tease all that much, is the payroll and how or if that will change in the coming years. Based on what we said in the first couple segments, you just spent $1.7 billion on a June team. You're going to have to spend a gobloads of money on a new stadium. Is there any room left for acquiring that middle of the order bat or that late inning reliever or that veteran starter?
No. And I think we kind of teased about this like a couple weeks ago, but like, I think it's kind of insane to think that Kyle Tucker, would I love to have Kyle Tucker? Absolutely, people. Yes, count me in. But if you are a betting man and you have all the green skittles in the world, or you are said, hey, put the hand in the fire for this, what do you think Zalupski's going to do? Sign Luis Robert for a $5 million 1-year contract if the player option is waived, or the club option is waived, rather, by the White Sox, or signing Kyle Tucker for 10 years, $350 million? Like, what do you actually think? What we all want Kyle Tucker, but what do you think is actually likely? It's Luis Robert. Yeah. If the White Sox say no to him and his club option. But like, I'll be kind of honest with you. Do I want the payroll to increase? Absolutely. But not at the cost of a stadium in Tampa. Stadium in Tampa is number 1. Stadium in Tampa is number 2. And stadium in Tampa is number 3. That has to be done well and efficient. Then give me the Caminero extension. Then give me all the payroll expansion that you want. Get the stadium figured out first. Yeah,
a new stadium is your Kyle Tucker sign.
Yes,
that is your Junior Caminero extension.
Yes,
that just is what it is. We please don't be out here thinking that this guy is going to be a Steve Cohen 2.0. There's only one Steve Cohen, but not even close to that. Maybe
not even Steinbrenner does that.
Yeah, he might be Stu Sternberg plus like a sprinkling on the payroll.
Yeah,
but it all remains to be seen. There's just unknowns. We won't know until he's actually the owner for a couple years and we see the direction of this organization.
And I think we can expect a bigger payroll once the whole stadium situation is figured out. Once they know what they're actually going to have to spend. It's just like everything, right? Like when you are your own expenditures in your monthly budget and you know what to do. Okay, now I have my discretionary budget. Now I can go to the movies. Now I can do some fun stuff. Now I can go travel. Yeah. Same thing with the bigger payroll with Zalupski. But hopefully that answer comes faster than we've received it from Stu Sternberg after 20 plus years.
Indeed. All right. We hope you all enjoyed. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. And we will talk to you later.